Gotham lies beneath a black, rain-soaked sky, but this night carries a different kind of darkness. Somewhere in the city's bloodless hush, an ancient horror is stirring. A nightmare has taken shape in the dead of winter, a predator from old legends, hungry for the living. On New Year's night, fear itself wears a crown. Beneath the neon glare and cathedral shadows, the city feels smaller, weaker, as if Gotham has become a graveyard waiting to be claimed.
If something is hunting this city tonight, then I'm already on the trail.
The dark night fades into the darkness, a grim silhouette against the storm. And somewhere ahead, the Lord of Vampires waits, patient, unseen, and deadly.
Let him hide in the shadows. I know how to drag monsters into the light.
The year is ending, but the terror is only beginning. In Gotham, midnight doesn't bring peace, it brings the next scream. Gotham sleeps beneath a shroud of ink-black night, and somewhere in the city, a frightened man is racing against time. A newsroom glows in the dark as Paul Butterworth types furiously, knowing his pursuer may already be closing in. For 2 nights, he has haunted the shadows like a splinter in the side of a monster, and now he dares to tell the tale.
I'm typing this as quickly as I can, for I have no idea how long it will be before he finds me.
He fears the Night Stalker will trace him here to the newsroom, where every keystroke sounds like a confession.
Though this story may never be printed, it must be told, for posterity.
Paul Butterworth, voice trembling, heart pounding, names the terror in the dark at last.
For posterity, and I fear that's all this tale may be good for, I call my story.
And as the final words hang in the air, Gotham seems to hold its breath, because whatever is hunting him, it is already on the way. Gotham's darkness gives way to a colder terror as an ancient evil is dragged into the light. Beneath the city's noir shadows, the truth begins to stalk the living. Belief in the vampire myth reaches back before Christ, but the Middle Ages shaped the modern legend. What was once folklore has become a warning. With Enlightenment came denial, and mankind buried its darkest truths deep out of sight. But the truth has a vicious habit of surfacing when least expected. January 1st, 1976, 2:30 a.m. Marianne Travers leaves a New Year's party after an argument with Barry. Snow falls softly, but something in the night is already watching. The quarrel seems patched up as Barry's car fades into the darkness, and Marianne wishes he were still beside her. She turns for home, unaware that a rustle in the shadows is about to change everything. Marianne is a bright young woman in her early 20s, just home from celebration and still wrapped in the warmth of the evening. Then she hears it, a sound behind her, cold and deliberate. Unluckily for Marianne Travers, the last time Barry stood at her side was not after the party, but at her funeral. And that's when the nightmare truly began.
All right, Butterworth, enough with the pictures.
Gotham's chill has a cousin in Boston tonight, where the dead stay buried and the living lie to keep it that way. In a police station glare, tempers flare as a reporter pushes too close to a fresh, bloody secret. Enough eyebrows, get out of here, Butterworth, and take your questions with you. You'll get no answers tonight. If you don't leave now, I'll see you never work in Boston again. Sure, you valiant men in blue are a reporter's dream, dream spelled nightmare. Just one thing, Captain. Is it true this is the third girl to be found, bled to death? The captain's fury gives Butterworth exactly what he wanted, a raw nerve pulsing beneath 20 years of authority. He knows he's touched something rotten and far older than the first body on the floor. Mrs. Simmons paid for her belief. Hours later, 3:00 a.m. On January 1st, the city forgets its fireworks and remembers its graves. New Year's Eve ends in a cemetery where cold stone and colder longing keep vigil over the dead. Margaret Simmons comes to her husband's grave, speaking softly to Matt, taken only 2 weeks before, run down in the Christmas rush. Her words are tender, aching, the kind that refuse to let go. But grief is not the only thing waiting in the dark. Somewhere beneath the frozen earth, something answers her devotion with a terrible, hungry sound, grunch. Gotham lies under a veil of rain and cemetery fog, where even the graves seem to breathe with secrets. The homicide report says fresh earth was pushed aside from the grave beside her husband's, and the city makes its first cruel guess. Downtown, the boys in blue decide grief has driven her mad, that she clawed at the soil to join her beloved dead. But Gotham is a place where the obvious answer is usually the wrong one, and the truth hides beneath the dirt. The police never quite get all the facts right when bizarre things come crawling out of the dark. And somewhere in that restless graveyard, something far more terrible than morning has begun. Gotham at night, snow cloaking the streets in silence, and beneath that white veil, blood-drained corpses lie like a nightmare come true. I'd seen stranger things in my life, but this was a hell of a sight, enough to make even a hardened detective's skin crawl. A year ago, I caught him crouched over a woman's neck, feeding in the dark. He vanished before I could strike. 4 months later, I saw him again, ready to leave Gotham behind, and I thought maybe he'd fled back to Boston.
Then I switched on the car radio and heard a name I couldn't quite place. Michael Morbius, a vampire, they said.
On the dial, a tawdry newsstand ad crackled through the static. One more lurid story in a city that feeds on fear.
Harold, I've met him somewhere before. Yes, at the Witchcraft Convention 8 months ago.
The memory sharpened. Harold, a dubious hack writer of pulp horror, always chasing murder, mayhem, and monsters for a headline. And then the recollection turned colder still, because I remembered exactly how his terrible stories began to spread. Gotham at night, shadows lengthening over the city's bruised skyline. Inside a cramped interview room, the air is thick with coffee, tension, and the sense that something monstrous is being recalled.
Interview? Gee, I've never been interviewed before. Watch where you're pouring that coffee, Harold.
Now I, know that you've met this vampire. Dracula.
That is Dracula, not Morbius. Nor it was Drac, the big enchilada himself.
The memory hangs in the dark like a coffin lid slowly opening. Harold leans back as the story turns deadly, to a bed where monsters sleep and names like Quincy, Rachel, Frank, and Blade gather in the gloom.
Anyway, I was with Drac and the others, and we just finished off Dr. Sun, when Blade decided we couldn't let Dracula split. After all, Drac is a murderer, you know, right? So Blade whipped out his wooden knife and challenged Drac to a fight. I was ready, willing, and able to jump in and help him whenever the poor guy needed me.
But Dracula was no ordinary killer, strong enough to stop Blade cold and wrench the weapon back against him. And when Blade answered with a savage kick, the night in that room suddenly felt a whole lot more like a graveyard. Gotham at night, shadows lengthen over rain-slick streets as a reporter's mind wrestles with a story that may be madness, or the truth.
If I were anyone else, I could easily dismiss Harold's story as the rantings of a hack writer desperate for an audience.
But he's seen too much since becoming a reporter, and somewhere in that darkness, a sliver of truth is waiting to be found. Half an hour later, on the drive to Harold's place, a police band emergency call crackles through the static, and instinct overrides caution.
I'd heard of Quincy Harker and the attacks on Parliament months ago. That was reason enough to answer the call myself.
And it's the right decision, because what waits ahead is no ordinary crime scene. Before him stands a monster battling the Boston police alone.
No one can stop him, bullets don't even slow him down.
Pat yourself on the back, Butterworth. Layman's O's gonna love this 8x10. I reached for my Nikon, ready for a front-page exclusive.
Hey, you dare attempt to photograph Dracula. For that, you must pay.
Too late, the vampire turns, rage blazing in the dark, and the reporter realizes he's standing face to face with death itself.
Human, I've taken enough of you mortals' stupidity. You have angered the Lord of Vampires.
Gotham at night, shadows lengthen over the docks as a desperate testimony begins to unwind. Somewhere in the fog, something monstrous has already vanished. Then, in a blur of terror, the figure twists and reforms before stunned eyes. The dark shape of a bat swallows the room, and the witness can only stumble on. He tells the tale of Dracula, of sun, of fangs, and of a fight that nearly ended in blood under the maritime fog. but the real violence is only beginning. Every word tightens the noose around the nightmare, every memory pointing toward the next strike. In Gotham, the hunt never ends, it only changes shape. Gotham at night hangs under a bruised black sky, where every shadow feels alive and hungry. In the dim, feverish light, the tale turns savage as a wooden blade flashes toward Dracula's chest.
So I make my move, slashing down with my wooden knife, right at Drac's chest.
But the monster lunges forward, and a hidden crossbow bolt changes everything in a heartbeat.
I was sweating A-bombs when suddenly Drac lurches forward, and I see that Rachel used her crossbow on him. Only Fangs turns fast and I trip over Harold, and Fangs picks up my knife to turn it on me.
Somehow the fight twists again, and the hunter becomes the hunted in a single, brutal instant.
Cutting him between the shoulders. Now I got Drac back to the wall and Harold's behind him hugged Jin the wall like a suntan. That dude looked mad as all hell, he cursed at me, and then changed into a wounded bat and flew off.
All in a night's work, but below them in the hotel lobby, another danger is already closing in.
Attendant, you have a Harker listed in this hotel. Which room is he in?
Sir. If you want him, I'd be glad to ring him up.
Now how about telling me? I want his room number, attendant, and you shall give it to me now.
Mr. Butterworth, hunting vampires is not a glamorous vocation, and we wish neither credit nor publicity. If you must use this story, I do wish that you not print our names.
The warning hangs in the air, but in Gotham's dark heart, anonymity is never safety. It's only the calm before the next strike. Gotham at night, shadows lengthening over the city's darkened streets as a tense visit seems to end in polite silence. But in the gloom, something ancient and cruel is waiting to strike.
Thanks, Mr. Butterworth.
And I know how we're gonna be in the States for a while. Much a bother some of the cranks can get to be. Can we help you in any other way? Nah, that'll be all for tonight. Goodbye, Mr. Butterworth. Have a good night. Keep a stiff upper lip, group, and take care.
The room answers with a nightmare's whisper, and the air turns cold as if the walls themselves have heard a curse.
There shall be no good nights tonight, Van Helsing. Tonight is a night for blood, and that blood shall be yours.
Dracula.
In a heartbeat, the peaceful evening shatters into terror, Gotham's darkness giving way to something far older, far hungrier. Gotham's night is a black velvet grave, and in the shadows a deadly feud ignites. Vampires and hunters collide beneath the city's cruel moon.
You thought I would not attack you here, Harker. Know that there is nowhere that the Lord of Vampires fears to tread.
Our comradeship is over, and now is the time for bloody battle.
Frank Quincy, you cry out for help, Van Helsing, so unlike you. You normally fight with the best of men. Give me your toy, Black. She doesn't need help, Fangs, but she's getting some anyway.
Blade, you still dare to annoy me.
The monster recoils as a crucifix flashes into the darkness, and old hatred surges back to life. But Dracula only bares his teeth and turns his wrath on Harker.
As for you, Harker, now that full power is mine once again, I can truly make you pay for that night in your ancestral manner.
Gotham's night presses in like a black lung over the city, and in the silence, a legacy of blood and terror closes for the moment.
All right, ancestor mine, you've played around with my friends long enough. Now take on me.
Frank Drake, so my hapless descendant and I come to grips at last. A shame you will not live long enough to realize the extent of your foolishness. And so ends the family name of Dracula, for you are the last living soul to share my glorious title.
But can't let myself be done in now, gotta save myself, gotta. And as for you, Claude, I shall return to take care of you another time.
Drac vanished into the darkness, leaving only his threat to echo through the room like a death sentence. Frank stood alone, certain only of one thing: the horror was far from over.
When Dracula will come, I do not know, but I have made preparations. Wait, a sound of wood being splintered. Dracula, is that you?
No answer comes. Frank snatches up his gun loaded with silver bullets and waits in his office, every shadow suddenly looking like a coffin lid about to open. Gotham's night is thick with terror, and somewhere in the shadows a hunter waits for the footsteps to draw near.
All right, Mr. Vampire, I'm ready for you. Don't just stand there, Dracula, come on in. You're just in time for dinner, starting with.
He lies to steady his shaking hands, but even courage can falter when the dark answers back.
Of course, that was a lie, but I needed something to bolster my rapidly fading courage. A silver bullet sandwich. You think me blind, human? I watched in amusement as your trembling hand pressed the trigger. And now nothing, Dracula. Bah. Do you honestly believe that I would then let my flesh and bone be a physical target for you to vent your all-too-puny human emotions?
The monster closes in, but the victim has one last weapon left in the gloom.
I've prepared for you this time. Another cross. This perverse handling of religious garbage never ceases. This isn't only a cross, Dracula, it's a stake as well, to pound into your heart.
Gotham at night, shadows swallowing the rooftops as two monsters clash above the city's sleeping streets. Batman closes in on a nightmare that should not exist.
If you get the chance, fool, give me that totem of lies.
The sight of the cross sickens me, it burns at my flesh, but it is the crucifix which can slay me.
Oh no, a pity that you did not know that fact.
I may have made a mistake, Dracula, but I'm not going to pay for it. You amuse me, scum.
He sweeps through the darkness like a living shadow, taunting his prey with contempt. Then the battle turns savage as old superstitions become weapons.
How can you possibly evade one who can fly like the night wind itself? Your country has always been a home for lunatics and madmen.
How can you possibly stop one who can turn to ethereal mist? Fog. I ask the ludicrous. You're a savage. You wouldn't know civilization from a barbaric cesspool.
Gotham's darkness deepens as the night drags on, heavy with menace and old blood. In this cursed hour, even monsters speak like kings.
Dracula is sickened by your presence, Toad, and if this new world did not hold the key to my future plans, I would take leave of it as you Americans have taken leave of your senses.
As I said, vampires have existed from the dawn of time, and it seems as if this one is out to make me an immortal undead as well. Immortality is not something I would normally scoff at, but in this case, I am more than willing to make an exception.
Human, Dracula is not done with you, though I might be sickened by the taint of your cowardly blood. Still, I shall be more than ready to drink you dry.
So with my tail planted firmly between my legs, I run. Prepare your last vows, human, for they shall be the last you make to your present god.
Hey, not yet, Dracula. I am not ready to die. Look outside. We've been playing games tonight so long that it's almost dawn. In minutes, the sun will be out.
When next you can utter words of speech, they will be in reverence to Dracula, Lord of Vampires.
But I can offer you a stalemate.
Gotham's darkness gives way to a stranger night still, where the battle with the vampire lord has just ended. For one exhausted witness, dawn feels like a mercy.
It mustn't end like this, not now. But if I have only minutes to flee, Dracula must always live to battle another day. Tonight you have bested the vampire lord, and for that, Dracula will remember you always, and will someday return to this cursed flea trap to rend you asunder.
A breath later, the danger is gone, at least for now. He sinks into his chair and finally sleeps. But morning brings new trouble to the newspaper office, where Paul Lamonzo storms in and finds chaos waiting for him.
Butterworth, what's the meaning of this mess? You stay here to work late or to destroy the newspaper?
I've already developed the negatives. All I have to do is print the pictures. I've got proof, Lamonzo, proof that vampires exist.
Vampires, this better be good, Butterworth, or I'm reassigning you to the gossip columns.
Come on, Lamonzo, I'm your star reporter. When I say I've got a story for you, I've got a doozy.
But the evidence falls flat in the harsh light of day. The photos show only police collapsing, and Butterworth's grand revelation begins to unravel.
Photo, Butterworth, there's nothing on this paper but cops falling down. Where's your vampire playmates, Mr. Butterworth?
I forgot vampires don't photograph. Here, look at this photo, Butterworth. I do hope you enjoy reading mail, because the Ask Miss Annie column gets a hell of a lot.
And then the page turns toward a new nightmare, a name that promises magic, menace, and the next impossible case. The story that had to happen, Doctor Strange, master of the mystic arts. Boston lies beneath a winter moon, its rooftops cold and snow-capped, while a silent shape glides overhead. The bat lands atop a frozen spire and slowly reforms into a man, ancient and elegant against the night. Boston stirs a memory of old London to him, stone, tradition, and shadows that never quite die. Across the way, unseen in the darkness, another presence waits in the velvet doorway of Dr. Sun's manse.
This place is mine now, and soon so will he be.
The white-haired vampire smiles, eyes glittering with cruel amusement as he marks the place where Dracula can be found. But not yet, he will not strike until every piece is in its proper place, like cards dealt by fate itself. Then he bares his fangs to the moon, laughs into the dark, and shimmers away on black wings, leaving the night holding its breath. Gotham's night hangs heavy and cold, the darkness thick with menace. In a room lit by fear, a door creaks open and Blade's heart skips a beat. A shadowed figure steps inside, tall, silent, and predatory. Blade knows instantly what he's looking at, a vampire. Blade tightens his grip on the wooden knife he carved years ago for this exact moment. He waits, every muscle coiled, every breath held. Then Blade explodes forward, crashing through the darkness with savage force. The hunt becomes a fight in a heartbeat.
Now it's just you and me, scum in a fight to the end.
Each hold at you.
All right, you stinking coward, I've been waiting for you all my life, Hannibal King. You're not the stinking vamp I've been looking for. You're not the monster that killed my mother.
The name's King, who are you?
And with that challenge, the darkness deepens into legend. Blade stands revealed, the vampire slayer, facing Hannibal King detective as a deadly new epic begins.